beer review, heart to heart with the Rhino. Okay, so people have wondered where I'm at. And here's where I'm at. I am I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not always proud of. But I've always had a high moral compass, and I've thought of myself as having high integrity. Uh I guess I wasn't what I thought I was to an extent. I have I I came out of the Arctic thinking everything was going to be good. Everything should fit into place, and though it was going to be hard for the first few months, everything would fit and everything would work. And months down the road, things would get better. To get out of the Arctic, first off, I had to take a giant pay cut. I had to take a job that was a lot less money, and the stip or the bonus for that retail job was a lot less money, and I took it because I had to get out. To the point where after I pay my bills, without paying one of my bills, I only have $58 left a paycheck. So it was a stupid idea probably to leave at the time I left, but I had to. As much as I try not to say anything bad about the company I worked for, I'm currently terminated with cause, and some of you know what that cause is. We have talked about it in private. Some of you don't. It is what it is. Here's what I'll say about the Northwest Company. It is a good company for some people. It is a good company for people doing certain things. The problem is not every DSO is created equally. Not every community is created equally. So going into the company, the things you have to remember if you're going into the company is first and foremost, it is set up to trap you. It really is. It's set up to trap you in that a lot of the communities you go to cost a horrendous amount to get out. If we went on vacation in Pavernatook, where we were first, for our family to go on vacation was almost $30,000 to do a round trip from Pavernatook to Montreal, which was a 40-minute flight. It was almost $30,000 because at the time it was about $6,000 a person. So if you quit the company, if you decide you can't deal with the company, you can't deal with the things that are going on to you or your family, you have to get yourself and your stuff out. So if it costs 15 grand to just fly to Montreal, how much do you think it costs to get any of your belongings out and everything else? Let's just think about it for a few seconds. So again, great company for some people. You get great benefits. You get a food allowance, you get a housing allowance, you get a travel allowance, you get your travel paid for on your vacation, but your travel is to the closest international airport. So when we were in Deer Lake, it was Winnipeg. So if we were to fly to Winnipeg, then we would have to fly to Ottawa to see our family. When we were in Pavernatook, we would fly to Montreal, and then we'd have to drive to Ottawa. So for depending on where you are and where you're sent, it can work really well. If you're This is the thing about this company, and I've talked about it with Chris, and I've talked about it with a lot of people. To an extent, you need to be a single person or be a couple that don't have kids, don't have dogs, don't have anything but yourselves, and are partially socially awkward to the point where you're willing to basically make work your life. Because work is your life. We were working between 55 and 70 hours a week. You get paid for 37 and a half because you're on salary. You're basically put on salary and you become a slave to the company. For some people, that works perfectly fine because you can work all those hours, you can make it all back in your stip, you can do this, you can do that. You get your food, you get your housing. A lot of the houses are falling apart, but again, not every community is created equally. We had a brand new house in Pavernatook. We had an old falling apart house in PUV and in Deer Lake, sorry. And other than the fact that our sewage froze in the winter, the house was pretty good. The no sewage thing, so you can't shower, and you can't shit, you can't piss, you can't do anything in your house. That sucks. But the house falling apart doesn't really matter. It was a nice house. It was a nice size house. It fit our family. It had a great yard. The yard was fenced in. The yard was fenced in. Everything worked. Sorry, I just got a low battery signal. So as we're talking, I'm going to plug in my charger here. So, I mean, that didn't bother us per se. However, what happened to me in my time in the north? Right? What happened to me? Well, while we were in Pavernatook, I bought an ATV at one point in Pavernatook. That ATV, there was an attempt to steal it the first night. The first night, yeah, I'm not joking on that. I bought it at 5 p.m. I brought it over to my house. It didn't start because there was no gas in it yet and the gas station was closed. Somebody tried to steal it that night. I was sexually assaulted there. I haven't talked about this much. I have talked about it once on here, but not much. I was sexually assaulted. I was breaking up a fight, and as I was breaking up a fight, I got held on the ground, and two women started grabbing at my crotch, going, "You want to fuck us?" That fucked me up. That really did. It really fucked me up. And I tried to press charges, but I didn't know who they were, and we were off camera and everything else. And the KRPF kind of laughed at me. They're like, "Yeah, guys don't get sexually assaulted, and you don't even know who it is, so fuck off." So that shit happened, and that fucked me up. I couldn't have sex with my wife for months afterwards because I couldn't get it up. I would look at her and I'm like, "I'm really sorry somebody else touched me." Like I didn't want them to. They did this to me, and they violated me in a way I have not been violated in my entire life. And I don't know how to reconcile that. I had people stab my dog to death. I had people threaten my life. I had people pull knives on my kids. I had people assault my wife while I was at home with my back fucked from lifting too much weight. I had people break into my house when we were at work and my kids were at home alone. I had a year that we were trying to get a front door because the way they set up the houses in the Arctic, you have like a door that opens up into almost like a little area for your boots and stuff, and then a door that opens up into your house. And that room was heated where it wasn't supposed to be. So what happened was the door was facing and our house only had one entrance. You could only get in on one side and one door. So it was facing north, so the wind was hitting it. And it would freeze shut to the point where we had to break out one day. We had to break out several days, but one day we were locked in the house for over 3 hours. We were late for work trying to get out. And when we finally got out, the door was fucked. It was fucked. Because I had to have somebody kicking it from outside while I was fucking beating it from inside. And it took a year to get a new door. So the inside door, like the inside door didn't have a lock. So people would just come into your house while you were sleeping. They would come into your house and harass your kids. They would come into your house and harass your dogs. Like I said, I had one dog that was stabbed to death. I had another dog that was raped. He was raped in the ass from some fucking psycho there. This is what we lived with. This is what we lived with every day. On top of that, I had several employees commit suicide while they worked for me. It was not a good place. And your house, you were across the street from like two drug dealers, and you were across the street from the what the hell is it called? The crisis center, which was where the people that didn't have full mental capacity would live. And that's what you lived in. That's what you lived in. And we said several times, our family is being harassed here. We can't be here. When we finally gave up and we were like, it's time to get out, it took a year to get out of Pavernatook. From the time we said, we can't be here anymore, this is what's happening, to the time we went up the chain of command to say to somebody else, this is what we've been saying, and this is what's been said to us. We need the fuck out. Again, not every community is created equally. There is a bunch of Inuit villages that are beautiful. I've met some amazing people in Inuit villages. I've interacted with a lot of amazing Inuit people. I interacted with a lot of amazing Inuit people in Pavernatuk, to be honest, but Pavernatuk was not safe for me and my family. And it took a year of me and my family continuing to be harassed before we got out. Once we got out, well, Aiden was sent to us. We were saving up every cent we could to get out, first off. And Aiden was sent up to us to live with us. He was sent up with a suitcase and nothing else. So we had to buy everything. We had to buy him glasses. We had to buy him clothes. We had to buy him shoes. We had to buy him winter gear to live in the Arctic. We had to buy him everything. And that took every cent we had saved up. Then we went on vacation. And before we went on vacation, we all had COVID in January. And the way PUV did it, they didn't want their numbers to be going up because Nunavik did not want the numbers to show true numbers. So unless you traveled, you weren't allowed to get a COVID test. And we had rapid tests. We tested positive, so we told our bosses, we can't come to work. We're positive for COVID. So we were put on the COVID stay-at-home list, and work would pay for you to stay at home. So we stayed at home. And we got paid to stay at home for the 12 days at the time that COVID demanded. And I fought every day. I'm like, can I get a test at the hospital? Because we go on vacation in 2 months. And everything says that for up to 4 months after, you can test positive. They're like, no, you didn't travel, so you don't need the test. Like, but I'm traveling in March. Can I please get the test? No, you didn't travel, you don't need the test. So March comes up, and we go on vacation. And we go to come back, and to come back, you have to have a COVID test. Everybody tested negative. I tested positive. So I had to pay for a hotel in Montreal and food in Montreal for 10 days while my whole family was gone. So every cent we had saved up to get out of the Arctic was again gone. Then it had been over a year and a half since Aiden lived with us. So we're like, you know what? We need to have some protection. He's still living with us. We need to have his custody signed over to us. The agreement we had made with my ex-wife was that, if after 6 months he's still with us, she's going to sign over custody. So we're like, let's go get this done. And we paid the $3,000 that it was at the time for the retainer. And our lawyer's like, oh, you know what? She has in writing that she's going to accept this and this and that. This shouldn't cost much money. This is fine. $15,000 later, nothing's changed. And we're still fighting, and I'm like, you know what, enough's enough, take it to trial. Well, you don't have enough money to pay for a trial. Well, you're right, I don't. So put it in there that she's paying all legal fees if Aiden stays with us, because that's what this whole thing was about, was Aiden staying with us. And she's like, I don't feel right doing that. I go, do it. And she wouldn't. So every cent we had saved again was gone. And now I was starting to freak out because I had people that worked for me killed. I had my wife assaulted. I had my kids have knives pulled on them and their lives threatened. I had had myself sexually assaulted. I had myself in fist fight after fist fight after fist fight as I'm trying to defend my family and my home and everything else. And nobody's listening to us. I'm like, I need out of this place before. I had 3 suicide watches in my time there. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. And then they sent us to Deer Lake. And we were doing the Aiden's court cases in Deer Lake and everything else. And again, we had thousands of dollars saved up to get out, because our plan was always to get out. It was to pay off Alicia's debts and to get out. and nothing ever moved forward. And nothing ever moved forward because of the way things are set up. The company is set up that your benefits, your housing, your food allowance, all that, it's all taxable benefits. So it makes it so that you make less money. On paper, Alicia was bringing home over $100,000 a year between vacation, the house, the food, everything. She would make $800 a pay. How is she paying off any debt on that? And yeah, I was making more, but I couldn't help her because I was paying off child support and this and that. I have the I have a huge child support arrears right now, and the only reason it's in arrears is because my lawyer and her lawyer did not send the minutes of settlement to the FRO, to the Family Responsibility Office in Ontario. So they're still looking at the 2019 bit of payments where she had all three kids. And I sent her a message. I'm like, hey, nobody sent this stuff out. I don't have a copy of the version we both signed. Can you send me the copy we both signed so I can send it to Fro so this can get fixed? Do you know what my ex-wife has done about that? Ignored the message, because why wouldn't she, right? That's what she does. She ignores every message I send her because I'm the asshole. She's perfect. So why wouldn't we just ignore the message, right? So I'm at a point where they're still tacking on money, and I mean, once they get the double sign thing, but I'm probably gonna have to pay a lawyer to send it to me. Because I asked her I've sent messages to them. I'm like, how do I get this? I need this. The Fro doesn't have it, and I don't have it. So can I get the copy where we both have signed? That was on Friday. It's now Monday. I don't have anything from it. But I don't. If you are somebody that needs to have any social outlet, any social outlet, I don't recommend a job in the north. If you're somebody that is perfectly okay being completely and utterly isolated and being alone, do it. Because it's fine. It's fine. However, just be aware you're going to have 14-year-olds trying to prostitute themselves to you, being like, hey, you want to see my pussy? Because they're looking for somebody to pay for them and pay for their family. Happens in PUV. You're also going to have people that are coming after you to buy them alcohol and drugs, and you're in a dry community. Happens in Deer Lake. You're going to have people everywhere just always harassing you. And this is the problem. You can make friends, but you have to be very, 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 very careful who you pick to allow into your lives. Because you have to make sure their entire family, their entire extended family, everything is perfect. Because if anyone in their family is not perfect, you're dealing with a lot of shit you don't want to deal with. And I mean, again, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just trying to if you have a social ineptitude, if you are socially inept, you don't like making friends, you don't like this, you don't like that, you look at work as your personality, you look at work as your reason to exist, you will do amazing in the company. If you like being able to go out and do things, you probably won't. Now, that's not for everybody. I mean, there are communities that are a lot better, and when you go into them, things are great, and things are this, and things are that, and things can work. But there's times where it doesn't. And that's the only thing to keep into mind, right? There are times where things will not work. So where I'm at right now is I'm not getting my bonus. I should have been getting about $15,000. All the repairs to this house that need to be made to make this house livable were supposed to be paid with that. Alicia's probably not getting her bonus. And if Alicia doesn't get her bonus, the money we needed to live is gone. I'm going into debt, something fierce to deal with things, and I don't know how I'm getting past that. I'm looking at trying to find a second job, a third job, a fourth job, and I'm trying to find things close to home or close to my full-time job. But my full-time job doesn't have a set schedule, which makes it even harder because my schedule rotates. So I'm losing my mind. And then they do They do every other day daycare here. So that's making me lose my mind as well, because now we have another like $500 a month in daycare to pay for. But and I know, well, why didn't you stay? I couldn't live up there anymore. I had to get out. One way or another, I had to get out or my life was over. I wasn't living. Again, I've had suicide watch while I was up there. I've had this. I couldn't stay in the Arctic. The Arctic affected me in a way I didn't realize it was affecting me. Lots of my viewers have realized how the Arctic affected me, because they're like, you don't realize how different you are now that you're out. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back down that road because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to take care of my family and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to take care of them because everything keeps fucking up in ways that I can't explain. But we're going to try, because that's all we have, right? We got to try. So we're going to try. We're going to succeed. We're going to succeed. Now, again, not saying don't work for this company. This company will work for the right people. It will work for the right people. It'll work for the people that don't have. First off, if you have kids or dependables of any type, dependents of any type, and that includes pets, don't do it. If it's just you, or just you and a spouse, and you don't care if you're only getting paid for 8 hours a day, and you might be expected to work 12 to 16 hours a day, because you don't need to be at home for anything other than to sleep. This is the job for you, and you can save money if you do it right. It's just, if you have kids and you have all these other things going on, you can't save shit, because the North will always take it from you, because it's so expensive to live up there. It really is. Now, there are things that are cheaper up there than down here, but for the most part, the North is more expensive than the South in a lot of ways, and you have to accept that that's the way it is, and you have to realize that that's the way it is. But that being said, it is what it is. I mean, it really is. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know what I want to say with this. I know I have no viewers. I know nobody's going to watch this. I don't care. I just had to get some stuff off my chest. I have to go. Bye-bye. That means turn off.